Hey guys, today's Monday, September 21st. My name is Will, and these are my thoughts. So, why am I wearing a retro Larry Johnson Charlotte Hornets jersey? Other than the fact that it's amazing, which it is, so I don't really feel like I need to explain it, but that wouldn't make for a very good video, now would it? So, don't worry, dear viewer, all will soon be revealed. Now, as a lot of you know, recently my wife and I moved from Birmingham, Alabama to a suburb of Greenville, South Carolina. We're not really sure which suburb of Greenville, South Carolina. There is still some debate about that, but it's definitely one of them. And for a lot of reasons, that's been kind of tough. Personally, I grew up in Birmingham and then went to college in Tuscaloosa and then moved back to Birmingham. So, strictly speaking, I've never lived outside the 205 area code before. Most of my family lives in Birmingham, and being able to see them regularly was pretty sweet. Maybe most importantly, almost all of my closest friends live in Birmingham. Like the in our wedding kind of friends. We have a really strong connection to Birmingham, and that's great. It's the disconnecting from that place that's never going to be easy. And it makes trying to connect to the new place that much harder. Connections take time to grow. I don't think there's anybody in our country who's experiencing that more than college freshmen right now who can't leave their dorms or are currently quarantined because they have COVID. In the best and the worst of circumstances, you look for anything to try and make that kind of connection happen. Which brings me to this. Growing up and living in and around Birmingham, I have been surrounded my whole life by two teams, Alabama and Auburn. And I should probably mention UAB. And because I went to Alabama, I've never been in a situation where the team I supported wasn't also supported by the majority of people around me. And that's a nice place to be, but we live in South Carolina now, and that is not the case here. I'm a sojourner now, an immigrant to a culture whose teams I don't support and whose language I don't understand. Like, y'all really don't think Nick Saban's the best coach in the country? And it sounds silly, but that can be really deflating. Being a part of something is what really creates that feeling of connection, and being on the outside of it can have the opposite effect. And trying to get settled into a new place and really immerse myself in it, that's not really what I need right now. But getting in on that kind of action is going to be pretty tough. Just kind of taking a look around the sports landscape up here, there aren't really that many options of teams to choose from. I mean, they do have pro sports, which automatically makes them better than Alabama in most respects. But I'm not going to root for Clemson or South Carolina, obviously. And I feel weird rooting for the Panthers, seeing that their most influential player for the last decade or so was a guy who beat my team while he was at Auburn. And so I have landed on the Charlotte Hornets. And for those of y'all like, wait, I thought y'all moved to South Carolina. Yes, we did, but Charlotte is only about 100 miles away. And we probably won't go and see too many games, primarily because Tara hates basketball, but also because we don't really feel like driving 2 hours to watch a team that won 23 games. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all were very bad last year. We're winners in this house, kind of. But maybe someday we'll go. And it may seem like an arbitrary thing to announce like this, but as y'all may have realized by now, for somebody like me, it very much isn't. Adopting a team is a commitment. It's a personal choice to invest a lot of hours and emotional energy into a group of strangers that you'll probably never meet. I mean, unless I want to make that happen. It's a big deal. I mean, I'm sort of taking this cue from a friend of mine who moved to Dallas, immediately became a huge Mavericks fan, and even though he's since moved out of the country, is still a huge Mavericks fan. So with that in mind, let me introduce you to my new team, which hopefully someday will have its own version of Luka Doncic. So one huge benefit for the Hornets, and it's pretty similar to the way I felt about Tottenham when I started rooting for them, is that they have a good young core that they will hopefully be able to build upon going into the future. They may not have all the top end talent right now, but they are still a young and exciting team, apart from like Terry Rozier and Cody Zeller and Nick Batum, all of whom are old and expensive. Our point guard right now is Devontae Graham from Kansas, who led the team in assists and points last year. We've got PJ Washington from Kentucky. He's like a forward who still shot 37% from three last year. Miles Bridges, who was the first round pick from Michigan State a couple of years ago. James Borrego, the guy here in the middle of all this, who's off the Greg Popovich coaching tree, another young guy. And maybe the thing to be most excited about right now is that the draft lottery gods looked and smiled on the Hornets and gave them the third overall pick this year. Personally, I'm hoping for Onyeka Okonkwo or Anthony Edwards, but again, that's just my 2 cents. Please do it, Hornets. Devontae needs help. Has this team been good since like the 90s? Since this guy was playing for them? No, not really. They actually didn't really exist for a while. They moved to New Orleans. And then they moved to Oklahoma City, and then back to New Orleans, and then we got the Bobcats, and then the Bobcats became the Hornets again. It was a whole big thing. But this team is young and fun, and I love them. Hopefully they'll grow into a good team as we grow into being good Greenvillians. Greenvillers? Greenvillites? I don't know. And this isn't a huge deal. It definitely doesn't replace family or friends. But it's a connection to the place that we're calling home now. And hopefully a step towards making more. I'm Will. Those are my thoughts. And I'll see you guys next Monday.